All right, guys, we're going to be working on Act 1, Scene 4 today. And this is an important scene for you, especially because there will be an assignment that accompanies a speech in this scene. So make sure that you are taking your good guided notes and that you are watching this video because you will probably want to reference back to this video to help you with that assignment. Okay? So just a quick summary of the scene. It opens up with Romeo and Benvolio getting ready to go to the Capulet party. And they meet up with their friend Mercutio, who is eccentric. That means he's kind of odd. Maybe he's a little weird. He's definitely charming in his own way. He's a little out there. And this particular party that they are going to is what they refer to as a mask. Which is just a masquerade party. So everybody's going to be wearing a disguise. Why do you think Shakespeare chose to make this feast that they're having a masquerade party? Yeah, it helps for Romeo to get in if it's a masquerade party, right? It's easier for the audience to believe that Romeo could sneak into a party where everybody is wearing a disguise. That way nobody really recognizes him as a Montague. And why would he not be allowed at this party because he's a Montague? Exactly, because the Montagues and the Capulets are not friends. A Montague would not be welcome at the Capulet party. So they're kind of sneaking in. And this makes Romeo a little bit uneasy. He's a little nervous about sneaking into this party. And because he's a little bit nervous, he admits that he had a dream that something is going to go wrong at this party. And Mercutio kind of makes fun of him. He's going to mock him a little bit. So that's a summary of the scene. We're going to dig into it a little bit more in depth now. So at the start of the scene, Romeo needs encouragement. What does it mean to need encouragement? Yeah, he needs to be lifted up a little. He needs some help from his friends to make him feel a little bit better. He's down. And do you remember why Romeo's feeling down? Exactly, because his love, Rosalind, doesn't want to have anything to do with him. She's not interested in him, and that's really hurt his heart. He's a little heartbroken right now. So Mercutio comes in and says, Romeo, we need to liven you up a little. We need you to dance. Have you thought about dancing? Let's dance. And he's trying to get Romeo to be happy and feel a little bit better, but Romeo is not into it. He tells Mercutio and Benvolio that his dancing shoes aren't going to be able to work because he has a soul of lead. That means his soul is really heavy. His heart is heavy. Remember, he is not feeling any good. And so this led against the idea of dance is just to show how heavy and sad Romeo is really feeling. And Mercutio tries to lift him up, right? He's going to be kind of funny and just say things that are witty. And he says, if love is rough with you, be rough with love. Don't let love get you down. If girls want to play with you, why don't you go play a couple of girls, right? He doesn't want Romeo to be upset about this one girl. He doesn't understand why Romeo just can't get over it and move on to the next girl, because that's what he would do. And so Romeo tells them that he's not feeling so great because he had this weird dream and that he thinks that going to the mask is going to be a problem. He says no wit. That it's not what they're supposed to do. That they mean well to go to this party. They're not going to cause any problems, but it's not what they're supposed to do. Something's going to go wrong. And Mercutio kind of starts making fun of him there. And that's when he starts his famous speech. It's called the Queen Mab speech. So he says, I see that Queen Mab has visited you. He says that she comes in shape that is no bigger than let me make this. red for you to be able to see it. She comes in a shape that's no bigger than an agate stone on the forefinger of a man. So she is as small as a ring, right? A very small fairy has come to you in your dreams, and that she comes while men lie asleep. And so he's saying, you know, you said you had a dream, but it's not really a dream. It's all caused by Queen Mab, this fairy. I'm going to read you part of Mercutio's Queen Mab speech in language that's a little bit easier to understand. And the reason I'm going to read this is because you're going to have an assignment that deals with this specific section of text, okay? So I want you to listen to it and think about what Mercutio is saying and see if you can create an image in your mind of what he is describing here. Now I see, Queen Mab has visited you. She is the fairy who rides in a tiny carriage across men's noses as they sleep. Her chariot is an empty nutshell. The spokes on the wheels are spiders' legs. The carriage is covered with grasshopper wings. The whip she has is made of cricket bones. Her driver is a gray-coated fly. Each night she gallops through lovers' brains, and they dream of love. And she gallops over lawyers' fingers, and they dream of money. And she gallops over ladies' lips, and they dream of kisses. This is the same Mab. Be quiet, Mercutio, please. You talk, but you say nothing. True, I talk about dreams, which are the children of an idle brain. They are nothing but foolish fantasy. They are as thin as air, and they change more than the wind. So what Mercutio is saying is that dreams are the children of an idle brain. He's saying that when your brain is not thinking of anything, then you're dreaming. They're made up, dreams are made up of when your brain is not doing any real thinking, any thinking that is important. And he is saying that they are fantasies. What he means by this is that Romeo's dream doesn't really mean anything, and that he needs to stop focusing on something that is probably not even going to come true and is not that big of a deal. And Romeo is not really comforted by this speech. He says that he had this dream and that something bad is going to happen at this party, and that could lead to his untimely death. This is a special thing that authors do when they're writing that we have talked about before. Do you remember what it's called when an author gives a hint to what's going to happen? Yeah, so the author is foreshadowing. He's giving a hint at what's to happen. This hint of untimely death, right? And we know what's going to happen because we've already heard from the prologue that 2 star-crossed lovers are going to die. So we know that this is a hint of what's to come. But does Romeo know that? No, so this is Shakespeare writing this hint into the play so that the audience is kind of on edge. It kind of builds suspense because the audience definitely knows something that Romeo and Mercutio and Benvolio don't know when they're having this conversation.